Hey, Lindsay. It's Kendall here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good, hanging in there.
Good.
Did you guys wind up getting any presentations for this meeting, or is it just the rec slides?
I think it's just the rec slides.
Okay.
Last I heard. I will pull those up now.
Yeah, I have them like on standby technically, but yeah, I love that like you and Sam's always kind of comfortable running stuff too, so it's cool to see.
Yeah, we use Zoom for all my school stuff.
Oh,
So
yes.
I got familiar with it whenever school turned online, so March. So I was glad to hear we were switching to it.
Yeah, great.
Thank you for calling in for the CWG call. We'll give another couple minutes for folks to call in. Hopefully everyone is familiar or has been able to access the features here on our Zoom platform today. And we'll wait just another minute. I see more folks are calling in, so we'll wait just a couple minutes before we get started with our agenda this morning. And it looks like we have most of our agencies represented now, so we'll go ahead and get started. I wanted to share with the group that you've heard my voice over the last number of years, usually leading the Conformity Working Group meetings, and I'm going to be continuing to be involved with the Conformity Working Group. But today I'm kind of handing off the main role for running our meetings to Sam Sanford here at SANDAG. He's been involved with the Conformity Working Group in a more supporting role over the last couple of years, and is going to be kind of taking on the primary role for coordinating the group and leading the meetings. So I will still be involved here kind of in the background, but Sam is going to be taking over the main facilitation role for the CWG. And so I'm going to turn it over to Sam to get our meeting going today.
Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate the introduction and help in getting to this point and all the training, but any mistakes are my own, and I'm glad you're still here for support as we go through this. Just want to make the group aware that we are recording this. We're recording the audio file for posting onto the SANDAG website, so we can reference back to that audio file for clarification notes in the future. This is yet a different platform that we used at our last meeting in July, so bear with us as we work through all the intricacies of using a different platform, and we get to learn this one. With those pieces out of the way, I'd like to run through introductions, starting with myself, Sam Sanford, Associate Planner at SANDAG. I wonder if we can go through the SANDAG list first. I see obviously Rachel Kennedy introduced herself as well earlier. We were also joined by Sue Alpert from SANDAG, Elisa Arias. Looking through my list to see if there's others, and Richard Radcliffe, and Lindsay Volts helping as well.
Good morning.
Anybody else from SANDAG that I missed?
Good morning. This is Jose Nuncio, Transit Department Director.
Thank you for joining us, Jose. Also on the line from CARB, I see Nesamani, and I believe that is all that I see from CARB. Anybody else on the line from California Air Resources Board?
Hey, good morning, Sam. I don't think so. Yeah, I'm the only one here.
Okay. And then from US EPA, John Kelly, thank you for joining us today. Anyone else from US EPA? Then from Caltrans, we have Lucas Sanchez, Lexi Ariano. You can see me glancing down the list, looking at other names, and Michelle Blake. Anyone else from Caltrans? Not hearing any others. All right, and anyone I missed from another agency?
Hey, Sam, this is Sam, this is Nick from Apcd on the line.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. This is Mervin Nasiba with Federal Transit Administration.
Oh, thank you, Mervin, for joining us.
CARB is here. This is Stephanie.
Stephanie.
This is John Kelly, EPA. Hi, Sam.
Hi, John. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, a good turnout today. Appreciate it. Glad everybody got through, was able to join the meeting. So that's item 1 for introductions. In the agenda packet that was sent out on Friday, we included the meeting minutes from July 1st, 2020. Those are included starting on page 5 of the agenda. Are there any comments or corrections on the July 1, 2020 CWG minutes? Not hearing any, we'll move on to agenda item number 3, which is public comments, communication, and member comments. Do we have any members of the public who would like to share any comments with the CWG today? Any member comments, updates? All right, moving on to the real meat of the agenda for today, getting into the reports. So first up on the reports section, agenda item number 4 is the Ozone implementation plan development. We have Nick Cormier from Apcd. Nick joined us at the July 1st meeting as well and provided an update on the SIP development process. Since that time, Apcd has held 2 public workshops and has had a public comment period open as well. And so Nick is here to provide some updates on what feedback they've received and also next steps for the SIP development. Nick, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thanks, Sam. I'm assuming it's okay to share my screen. Is that cool with you, or we at least attempt to? Okay, yeah, we'll give it a shot. Give me a second. Hopefully everybody is seeing a Word page here. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So I'm not gonna have to go too deep into what we've, we did a pretty good thorough presentation on the documents themselves that we released on July 1st. So I didn't want to rehash that again, but I just wanted to provide the group with an update on, kind of the outreach that we conducted, and then a brief overview of the comments that we received, and then the next steps, like Sam said. So this document on the screen right here is just kind of an overview of some of the outreach that we did, which included, notifying all of our permit holders, stakeholders, local governments, community groups, tribal nations. We sent out snail mail letters as well as emails to our listserv. And then we also did targeted outreach to some of the groups that you see kind of in that red, green, and blue box that were more targeted, and some of our local stakeholders here with APCD as well. And then we also conducted a lot of social media outreach with these plans. I'd say probably the most we've done for anything at APCD, quite a bit. So we sent out over 160 tweets advertising the plan or the workshops or just general information about Ozone. We also did that in multiple languages for the whole month, about half in English, and then there was about a quarter in Spanish. There was our first tweet when we launched was actually viewed over 11,000 times, which I thought was pretty cool. And showed some of the networking, how that helps. It was kind of new experience for me, so that was kind of interesting to see how it spreads. And then we averaged between 80 to 200 views per tweet when we sent it out. I'm not sure if that's average or not, but for us, I thought that was pretty good since we have not historically used social media all that much. So, so that was some of our social media outreach that we did. We also did a lot of work on making sure these plans were advertised on our website. We had a link up on our main page for the whole month. And we posted the recordings of the workshops that we did, both workshops. They're up on our air quality planning webpage on our website, and will remain there for a while. And then we also did Spanish translation of some of our Ozone fact sheets that we released along with the document. And those will keep up there, you know, for the foreseeable future. There's a lot of good information that if people need it and they need it in Spanish, we think that's useful to have. And that was done as part of our AB 617 steering committee, where they translated those documents. So we found that very useful. Moving on to the comments that we received, I'm just going to do a quick rundown. We actually didn't receive a whole lot of comments on the documents. The first one I won't get into. That first row of the conformity working group, we already touched on some of those topics, but kind of the rest of them moving down the list. We presented at our APCD advisory committee as an informational item on July 8th. There was only really one question, and it referred more so on permit applications and the need for offsets. It's not really too pertinent for this group, but it was just an informational question more so than anything. And there was really no controversy from our advisory committee members that were present there. On July 9th and July 13th, we had our webinar workshops, which went very well, actually. Technology worked well, which I was surprised by, but with no issues. But in terms of comments and questions, there wasn't really a whole lot on the actual plans themselves. There was a lot of questions in regards to, you know, kind of more ancillary issues in regards to air quality. We had, as you see, the first question was kind of how alternative fuels and zero emission vehicles fit into the whole overall framework for attainment of both 2008 and 2015 ozone standards. And ultimately, both will be critical for attainment for both of those standards. And we're just, in our workshop report, we're doing a better job of kind of, we will do a better job of explaining that a little bit because it wasn't very highlighted in the plan. We also had some questions in regards to, you know, when reclassification will occur. We worked with EPA a little bit on that to kind of nail down the correct timing of when that would potentially occur. And it could happen as soon as CARB requests the reclassification to severe, all the way up to 18 months after. That's entirely within EPA's discretion, so we just wanted to make sure attendees were aware of that. And then there was also some questions related to how how our neighbors to the north and Mexico, how their emissions impact San Diego's attainment status. And it's going to be a more nuanced response in our workshop report. But basically, we've in our modeling that CARB graciously conducted for us, that the emissions from those regions are accounted for, and from both of those areas, and both do impact San Diego's air quality on certain days, depending on the meteorology and certain other factors. But in regards to the specific attainment status, that's kind of San Diego's deal, and it's dictated by the numbers that we see here in San Diego of all the ozone pollution overall, kind of impact from all three of those areas. Again, there was some other questions in regards to local permitting. Again, it's not really bailiwick here of people in this group. I won't get into those. And then there was a question about where electric vehicle batteries were, what happens to those after their useful life, which I thought was kind of an interesting question. And to do a little digging, and we're going to get some more information from CARB and state on what happens. We did initially kind of see that there's some efforts statewide to kind of figure out where a lot of that, the ramp as these electric vehicles ramp up, where are those batteries going to go? Are they going to get recycled? It doesn't look like they're going to the landfills, at least right now, but there was some concern about that. So I thought that was an interesting question to come up in the workshops. So that was really all in terms of the comments of the workshops themselves. After that, we went to our Apcd Industrial Working Group, which is kind of our local business-oriented organization here in San Diego. And they really just had some questions about, what are other regions doing to attain, which, by and large, most other regions are in California at least, are doing much of this, very similar things to what we're doing, especially in regards to the 2008 standard, with a focus on mobile source reductions. It's a little bit premature to kind of say that all areas are going to have the same strategies that we are for the 2015 ozone standard, being that we're kind of first out of the gate to prepare an attainment plan for that standard. It's likely that other regions will take a similar approach, but we don't know yet. So that was one aspect that kind of came up. On that same day, we actually went to our AB 617 Portside Steering Committee meeting. It was kind of an eventful meeting that was primarily, there was a lot of focus on the Navy fire that occurred, the Navy ship fire that occurred downtown. But we also presented the ozone plan at that meeting as well. And there were actually no comments received from that group in regards to the ozone plan, both during or after that meeting occurred. As Sam mentioned, we closed our comment period on July 31st for the documents, as well as our CEQA analysis, and we did not receive any comments, any other written comments or verbal comments. So that was, pretty uneventful, which is good in our eyes. But at this point, there's a few more steps to go. We are fully responding to these comments. This screen right here is just kind of a summary of the responses that we're giving. But our workshop report will kind of detail these in full when we release it as part of our upcoming advisory committee meeting, which is scheduled for August 12th. So this will be the August 12th advisory committee meeting. Will be they will take official action on the plan to recommend it for the Apcd board for consideration. And if that advisory committee meeting, if the advisory committee does that, which we expect, we are hoping that they do, then the September 30th Board of Supervisors meeting, they will be hearing these plans and acting upon them. So They will also act upon our CEQA analysis, and assuming that goes well, and if they get approved there, they will then get forwarded to CARB to for their consideration and their respective board's approval, which it looks like, I believe it's October 22nd. Stephanie can correct me on that, but I think that's the date that they're targeting at this point for consideration of CARB's board. So that's really all I have to report today. So far, good news, I would say, but I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Nick, for that summary. I really appreciate that. I'd attribute the few questions that came out of the workshops to the thoroughness of the presentations. So I want to give you guys kudos for those presentations that you conducted. They really covered the information well, as I communicated to you earlier. I even had my kids joining for part of it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I get what Dad does sometimes." It was kind of a nice piece. So thank you for the wonderful work you guys did on that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, and same here, Nick. This is Elisa, just echoing. I think you prepared a really good presentation and you delivered it very well. I participated, I listened in, I should say, in the Thursday evening workshop, and I thought it was very well received by the participants.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Yeah, we were happy with how things turned out. Given that we're going to severe, we weren't really sure how this was going to play out, but so far it seemed, fingers crossed, we're looking okay at this point for potential consideration with our respective boards. So we're hopeful that it stays that way.
Great.
Are there any comments or questions for Nick from the CWG?
Hey, Sam, this is Stephanie Parent. And can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to confirm we are scheduled at CARB to go to the board with the San Diego Joint SIP on Thursday, October 22nd. And then maybe it was just my technology on my end, but Nick, you mentioned that you were showing like a kind of a sample of the responses to the public questions. I didn't see that, not that you have to go back and show it. Mine seemed to be stuck on like the kind of web and social media stats that you had given earlier, but I know we'll see the responses to questions at some point, and I did send you CARB's additional information for those responses this morning for you to incorporate.
Perfect. Thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, I just realized I shared my screen in the Word version when I selected in Zoom, and I didn't know if it transferred over to the Excel version, which had the comments. But in any case, it was kind of a draft kind of summary anyway. It's not really the workshop. It'll have the exact same information in the forthcoming workshop report that's going to be released this Friday in more detail and probably way more clarity than what I just said. So everybody who was signed up on those workshops, and I believe everyone who was in the Conformity Working Group in that previous meeting will get a copy of that workshop report. And I can certainly send it to Sam and Rachel to forward on to the people for additional clarity once it's done. Sorry about that.
No worries. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, that would be appreciated. I did like the Word document that kind of summarized all the outreach you guys did, social media and otherwise. It's kind of nice just to take all that in one quick glance.
Yeah, I think it's good. We're forwarding that to our folks here at the county, and we'll see what they say.
Any other comments or questions from the CWG?
All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
you guys.
Nick. Okay, moving on to report number 5, which is the project list for the 2021 RTIP. Lindsay, if you can advance us, I believe 2 slides to get to that full document. There we go, or the title of it. 2021 RTIP draft project list. And today we have Sue Alpert from Sandag to help walk us through this agenda item. You will likely recall that Sue was also here at the July 1st, 2020 CWG meeting, where we reviewed the conformity criteria and procedures. So today we'll go through the draft list, which was shared with the group on last Friday, and also talk about some key conformity dates for RTIP development. Sue, I'll turn it over to you.
Right, thank you, Sam. Yeah, as Sam mentioned, today we're going to be reviewing the list of projects that have been submitted for the 2021 RTIP. At our last CWG meeting, we began the kickoff of the 2021 RTIP with a review of the schedule and financial assumptions and the conformity assumptions. Again, Sam had mentioned that. So first, I want to apologize that the project lists that were sent with the agenda look a little bit odd. We are having a problem with our database, and it had displayed the wrong years. So fiscal year 21 is not showing. They started fiscal year 22. So that's a little bit of a glitch, and that we're working with the software vendor to get that fixed. So the result, though, is anything that maybe had only funding in 21 looks like that doesn't have any funding at all in the current period, but that is not the case. So I also can assure you that the project descriptions are correct, and so we'll be sending revised listings out shortly after the meeting when we get that little glitch fixed. So apologize for that, but also wanted to mention that since the tip update had been delayed by the SAFE rule, we had done a fairly complete update to most of the projects for Amendment 1814. So therefore, we carried most of those projects over from Amendment 1814 to create the 2021 project listings. So there's not really a lot of change between 1814 and the 2021 RTIP. There are approximately 64 capacity increasing projects in the 2021 RTIP and 395 non-capacity increasing projects, and you were sent two separate lists with the capacity increasing projects first. There's one new project which was not in 1814, and there are 5 projects which had been shown in 1814 as future projects which are now included in the 2021 RTIP. There are 121 projects that are being either completed, deleted, or delayed. And SANDAG has reviewed these projects for consistency. We'll be allowing changes to funding, but not to the conformity information for the draft release, which is scheduled in December. This project listing was sent to the CWG with the agenda for this meeting for your review and discussion today. If you have any comments following today's meeting, please submit them to me or Sam by August 14th, 2020. At that time, staff will begin their coding and model runs, which are anticipated to be complete by the end of September. The draft conformity analysis is scheduled to be distributed for a 30-day review and comment period from October 6th to November 6th, and will be discussed at CWG on November 4th. SANDAG is scheduled to present the draft 2021 RTIP along with its draft conformity determination to the Transportation Committee on December 4th and to the SANDAG board for release for public comment on December 11th. The draft will be distributed for the 30-day public comment period ending January 11th, and the final 2021 RTIP will be presented to the SANDAG board for adoption on February 26, 2021. So that's all I have for this listing, but if there's any projects that you'd like to discuss or questions that you have on the lists that were sent, we're happy to answer those now or via email in the next several weeks.
Thank you, Sue. Are there any comments or questions for Sue on the 2021 RTIP? Okay. And as Sue mentioned, we will email out an updated list of projects from the 2021 RTIP, having those comparison figures of what's changed between the 1814 amendment and the 2021 project RTIP, seeing that there's not a huge amount of change. That's nice to understand that those differences. We will get that new list out to this group in the next few days.
And Sam and Sue, this is Rachel. Just to clarify, the projects and their descriptions themselves aren't changing. It's just an update to that earlier financial information, correct?
Correct. It's just some of the projects are showing with no funding at all in the current period, which looks very odd. And you're thinking, why are they even on this list? But that's because the years were incorrect.
Okay. But if folks have already reviewed project descriptions, those will remain the same. So,
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good clarification. Thank you, Rachel. Any other comments or questions? I'm trying to be good about looking at the list and seeing if there's any hands raised, but I do sometimes forget. So you might have to speak up if I miss you. Not seeing any or hearing anything, we'll move on to the 6th agenda item. Here we have the MFAC 2020X development and workshop. So CARB has been working on developing the next iteration of the emission factors tool. And they held a workshop recently where they went over a lot of the updates as far as new programs, policies, and also some of the baseline information that goes into updating that tool. And we've asked Nesamani to come today to provide a high-level overview of what that workshop entailed and some of the comments received at that workshop, and then what the next steps are for the development of this model. Nesamani, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Sam. Good morning, everyone. I think you gave a good introduction about the overall workshop itself. So today I'm not going to, it was a whole day workshop. The workshop overall went well and lots of discussion. But again, I'm not going to go into every detail, but I'm just going to touch upon some of the key features that we updated, that we are planning to update as part of the MFAC 2020X. So one key feature that we are planning to update is the MFAC web platform. This is the first time we are going to provide the whole MFAC model in the as part of a web as well as the mobile platform itself. You should be able to access through your mobile phones. So it'll provide all the features of MFAC that you have seen or used, including project level analysis, emission rates, custom activity modes. All those features you'll be able to use it. The web platform also will run fast since it uses a pre-processed output, so it should be running faster. So that's a good feature here. And also it has a better user interface with the modern web and mobile-friendly web designs. So that's another advantage. We are also providing the fleet database. This database provides all the information related to the vehicle population at very detailed spatial resolution at the level of census block group level. So this is the first time we are providing in that resolution. So folks can use it and check the number of vehicles in that census block group itself. So that's the one key update we are making. We are also doing a web population update. It's a vehicle population update here. It uses the DMV data. That's from the latest DMV data from 2000 to 2019. We are also using the VIN number to distinguish fuel technologies like PHEV, BEV, like battery electric vehicles, and fuel cell vehicles here. We are also using the latest sales data from various sources, IHS Market, and then fuel sales data from California Department of Tax and Fee Administration. That information is also we are using to estimate the vehicle population and forecast it using that information. Another key new feature that we are adding in this model is PHEV module, which will separately categorize the plug-in hybrids. It will also account for electric vehicle VMT and charging behavior as part of this module. The energy module also will estimate the energy consumption by plug-in electric vehicles. So this is a new feature we are adding to this one. We are also doing the truck classifications, the vocational truck classifications. Previously, we used to do it only with the GVWR weight rating. Now we are adding to the body type as well as part of this classification. So that's another improvement compared to the previous version. Some of the key regulations that we are adding to this model that compared to MFAC 17 is like heavy duty I&M program, ICT, the Innovative Clean Transit regulation, and then of course the safe vehicle regulations, you all aware of it. Low NOx standard, advanced clean trucks program as well will be added into this model. And then zero emission airport shuttle bus. Those are some of the regulations that we adopted after MFAC 17 was released. So all those regulations will be incorporated into this model. Let me touch upon on the timeline, the next steps in this process itself. On the timeline, the second workshop was held on July 30th. The agenda itself includes the link. You can go back and look at the detail slides. It provides all the details, like each trend by vehicle types and what is this current data says and how we are planning to forecast. All those information is available. You can take a look at it and let me know if you have any questions on that. And then we are planning to release the alpha version of the model itself end of this month for testing purpose. And then the beta version will be released in fall. And then the third workshop will be held for public at the end of most likely in winter. And then end of this year or early next year, the final model will be released for public usage. The next workshop will really, the third workshop in winter will cover the impact of all the changes, impact of all the new data. What is the impact of those changes on the emission itself? That's what we are going to focus in the next workshop. That concludes my brief summary of the MFAC workshop itself. I'll be happy to answer any questions, or yeah, I'll be happy to, even if you have any questions later, feel free to send me an email. I'll be help you on that as well. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Nasimani, and I appreciate you highlighting that. Yeah, for your convenience, there's a link in the CWG agenda to the full slide deck that was presented at that July 30th workshop. Are there any comments or questions for Nasimani?
I have a question. Good morning, Manny. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Alice.
A question about the timing. So early 2021, we would have the new version, and then that goes to EPA at some point in 2021 for approval for conformity, correct?
That's right. You're right, Alice. Yeah. That goes for the US EPA approval. Until US EPA approves, we won't be able to use it for your conformity demonstration or anything, this model.
Okay. And we can have a conversation offline at our monthly coordination meetings on the regional plan, but I'm wondering what we would need to use, say, for the EIR for the regional plan, whether we should be using MFAC 2017 or version.
I think you should use MFAC 2017. That's the latest approved model. And again, you started your planning process already. So the grace period for MFAC 2017 is going to end August 15, 2021. So right now you are in both, you could use 14 or 17, but I think 17 might be even better for you since you are in the midst of the development, the next plan development process. So maybe I would suggest to use 17, but we can, if you have more nuanced impact of your the models, so we can talk about it more in detail later if needed.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Any other questions for Nasimani? Okay, not seeing any hands raised or any voices. We'll move on to agenda item 7 of upcoming meetings. The next meeting of the CWG is scheduled for September 2nd at 10:30 a.m. Any other meetings or updates from the group?
I just wanted to share with the group that we have 2 upcoming meetings related to our development of our 2021 regional plan, one being this Friday with our policy advisory committees, and then another at our board meeting on August 14th. If the group is interested in participating in those meetings. The information for they'll be held virtually, and the information for your digital participation will be listed on the SANDAG website. And then just to note that kind of, moving into the fall, we'll be bringing information on the development of the 2021 regional plan to the CWG. So just wanted to highlight those two upcoming meetings for folks.
Thank you, Rachel. It's a good announcement. Not hearing any others or seeing other hands raised. Move on to adjournment. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today and for helping us and having patience as we work through Zoom webinar, our first of I guess it might be our new platform. So appreciate it, and look forward to hearing and seeing from you at the September meeting.
Thank you.
Good job, Sam.
Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.